When I was in high school, I had a choir teacher whose saying wasn't practice makes perfect. It was perfect practice makes perfect. Hello and welcome to my channel. I am Onyie and this is Onyie Sings. If this is your first time visiting, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. And if you are returning, as always, thank you so much for being here and welcome back. Yay! Thank you, thank you, thank you, and keep coming back. So today's lesson is how to have a successful vocal audition. So what I mean by a successful vocal audition does not necessarily mean you booked the gig, although hopefully you do and break all the legs, yay! What I mean by a successful vocal audition is making sure that everything is working right for you, that you are able to do the very best you can do that day, at that time, at that audition. So if we can do everything we can to prep you properly for that audition, you can have a successful vocal audition, even if you don't book. As always, I have a list, and first on our list is practice good technique hard. And the reason I say practice good technique hard versus just practice good technique is because it's not just about practicing good technique. It's about repetition, and it's about correct repetition. When I was in high school, I had a choir teacher whose saying wasn't practice makes perfect. It was perfect practice makes perfect. So I subscribe to that idea as well. There's no point in practicing the things that you mess up. You mess up and then you try it again and then you mess up again and then you try it again, but you've been doing it for so long enough, moving on. So you never really got to practice doing it correctly. Unfortunately, if you are practicing the wrong thing over and over again, even if you do finally correct it to move on, if you've been practicing the wrong thing over and over again, that's the habit that you are building. That's the thing you're going to take with you into the audition, and that's the way you're going to always perform the song. There's no point in trying to ignore the mess ups and move on. It's tedious, I know. I've been there and I continue to be there. It is absolutely tedious to work on the same 4-measure phrase that you keep messing up over and over again. So I'll tell you all what I tell my students and what I use for myself personally as well. It's called the rule of 7. It's not a real rule. I made it up. But it works for me and it works for my students and hopefully it'll work for you. What the rule of 7 is, it's doing the correct version of whatever you're practicing 7 times correctly. If I'm practicing a 4-bar phrase and I get it right 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and then on the 5th time I mess up, starting all over again, go back to 1. And I'm gonna try to do it 7 times in a row correctly. Now that might seem like, that's not possible. First of all, yes it is. It's absolutely possible, but it is tedious, it does take time, and you do have to put a lot of energy into it and a lot of focus into it. That's the other part of practicing hard and practicing correctly, or perfect practice. Tedious though it may feel, it is absolutely effective, and that's the most important thing. 7 times may seem like that's a lot of times to be practicing, but can you imagine how in your skin that phrase or that thing that you've been messing up will finally be when you can do it 7 times in a row, especially if you actually have been messing up and having to go back and redo it again. Those are all opportunities for you to really get it into your brain, into your mouth, into your muscle memory. And that's the best thing you can do for yourself, especially when going into auditions. Because once you get into an audition, you don't want to have to think about all those things you kept messing up. The more you have it in your body and in your muscle memory, the more likely you can just turn things off and focus on emotion and being in the moment and telling a story in the audition versus at measure 74, this is when things kind of go wrong, so make sure I drop my jaw and take a deep breath. And you don't want to start thinking about all that stuff in the moment. You want that already in your body so that once you have to do it, it all comes up. So practice good technique, but practice it hard. Next, warm up. You know, this is an oldie but a goodie. We've talked about this before in previous videos, and I can't say enough about it, but I've said a lot about it. So feel free to check out my other videos to get even more information about warming up. But I will say really quickly here, absolutely warm up before your audition, even if it's in the morning, even if it's early in the morning. I know a lot of times I do get students who will ask, if my audition's at like, I just woke up and now I'm putting clothes on and I'm going to my audition, o'clock in the morning. If my audition is before the sun's up, which can happen, do I still warm up? Yes, 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 yes. Now, the only time I don't warm up before an audition, and this is just to put that out there for those who might think, oh wait, what if, yes. If you've been singing all week up into your audition, for instance, if you are auditioning for a show, but you're also in a show right now, so your voice is incredibly warm, if that's the case, then yes, be considerate of that fact and don't go over the top. But even then, if I've slept for several hours where my vocal folds have rested for several hours, I am still going to do a little warm up, even if I've been singing the whole week, belting my face off. I am still going to do even a small warm up just to get the muscles moving, just to get the blood circulating. Trying to go into an audition without a warm up is also kind of setting yourself up for failure. That's the opportunity to go in and not know what's about to happen when you open your mouth, and that's never okay. Do your best to not be surprised by your own voice in your audition. And next, wear something you feel good in. I've done it, we've all done it, we've all worn something where we thought we looked cute in it, but then you go into the audition and realize, I don't feel cute, I don't feel good in this, I don't feel good singing in this. A lot of times when that happens, it's because I've made it so I can't take a good breath, I've made it so I don't feel comfortable moving. You don't want to go into an audition moving your shirt around, pulling stuff down, making sure you're... Once again, this is another thing that will set you up for success. If you are dressed in such a way that you feel confident, that you feel comfortable, but you can also take a deep breath and sing. Even down to your shoes, you want to make sure that you feel comfortable. If your shoes aren't okay, then you're not stable because your foundation isn't stable. So you want to make sure that even down to that fact, you are being thoughtful about what you're putting on your body to take with you into your audition. When I say wear something you feel good in, I mean wear something you feel good in. So don't just wear the things that people tell you to wear to an audition. Of course, follow directions and dress appropriately for what you're auditioning for, but outside of that, if you're wearing a skirt because your bestie said that skirt looks great on you and you never feel good in it, but your bestie said it looks great, so you wear it, that confidence is not going to help you in your audition, or the lack thereof. You want to be sure that you feel good in it. Every part of you feels good in it. So it's one less thing that you have to think about in the audition. You may start to notice that a lot of these tips and tricks to have a successful audition really deal with things that will allow you to not have to think about them once you're in the audition. You want to be able to be engaging. You want to be able to be in the moment. So the less you have to think about things like what I'm wearing and everything else, the easier it'll be to be in the moment and give a great audition. Number 4, be thoughtful about food. Yes, there's a lot of things that you have to think about before your audition, and one of those is eating. You definitely want to eat before your audition. And just like it's important to fuel up to sing for a voice lesson, you definitely want to fuel up to sing for an audition. Even if your audition is before the break of day. There's nothing in there, there's nothing to burn, and without anything to burn, you have no energy. And without energy, your voice will not be at its best. However, you don't want to burp in your audition. So the more time you can give yourself to digest your food, the better before your audition. There's a whole list of foods that you want to stay away from. For instance, if you have dairy before your audition, you're more likely to overproduce mucus, and then you have gunk in your throat, which gets in the way of your singing. All those kind of fun things that you do not want happening in an audition. And of course, after food, there is water. Number 5, stay hydrated. There's not much more to say than drink water. Drink water, continue to drink water, make sure your pee is clear. Drink that much water. When you make a routine out of drinking water regularly, then when you actually need your voice for an audition or anything, it's always ready to go and readily hydrated. Staying hydrated is another way to keep obstructions out of your vocal folds, out of your larynx, out of your airway. When you are well hydrated, you are less likely to overproduce mucus, and the mucus you do produce is thinner. So if you're one of those people that seems to have to clear your throat a lot at an audition, you have to cough, suddenly you get a lump in your throat, those kind of things, drink more water. And last, focus on your breath. So this is a trick of the trade. If you have a tendency to get very nervous before your auditions, or really bad anxiety before your auditions, or any of that stuff that makes auditions a little more difficult than they need to be and can get in the way of you having a successful audition by any measure, be sure to focus on your breath. Instead of listening to the person or persons ahead of you, instead of focusing on your clothing, instead of looking in the mirror for the whole time you're waiting in line, focus on your breath. Use every moment of that time that you were standing in line getting ready to go in. That moment when you start to feel those butterflies, that moment when you start to feel a little hyperventilating, that moment when your heart rate goes up and your breathing gets quicker, take a deep breath and slow it down. You can control that, funny enough. That informs your body that everything is chill. We are okay. It tells your nervous system all is good. It is okay. So instead of your fight or flight response kicking in and messing everything up, you can actually tell your body, no reason to fight or flight. Let's take a deep breath, and that will tell your heart rate to slow down. That'll get your breathing to slow down, and that will tell your nervous system all is well. And that's the way you want to approach your audition. In high stakes situations, your body does naturally go into a fight or flight response. And even if it's a situation where there really is no need for you to fight or flight, it is a natural human response. And the way we can combat that is by focusing on the breath. Then, of course, you can go into your audition and also use that same steady breath to sing. It's going to make your vocals that much easier and your audition that much better. So those are some of the ways to have a successful audition. Practice good technique, warm up, wear something you feel good in, be thoughtful about your food, stay hydrated, and focus on your breath. And that way you can have the most successful vocal audition you can have. Alrighty, now's the time for homework. What is the homework for today's lesson? I will tell you. Today's homework is practice the rule of 7. Yeah, I can't check your homework, so I'm just going to trust you to do it. But practice the rule of 7. Find a song or a piece of a song that you find challenging and start utilizing the rule of 7 when working on it. So break a leg on your next audition, and thank you so much for coming by. If you had fun, like, share, and say hello there. Bye! My back. Hernia.